there everybody, it's Kathy Champion and you're back here in my YouTube channel and my stamp studio, Kathy's Random Acts of Stamping. I'm so glad that you would join me today, and I just want to remind everybody, many of you that are my followers already know this, but I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located here in Gastonia, North Carolina. And if you're not currently working with a demonstrator and you're interested in any of the products that I show, I would love to have the opportunity to earn your business, be your demonstrator, and you don't have to live near me in order to do that. I am a phone call, an email, or a text message away. So all of my information is located in the description box below this video. There you will find all of the products that I used, the order number, as well as a link to my site, a link to my Facebook group, and my phone number, my email. So everything is listed there for you so that you can follow along, you can get in touch with me. Right now they're having a great promo during the celebration period that if you decide that you would like to do what I do, and you don't have to actually sell Stampin' Up! And do videos like I do, you can come in as a hobbyist. So if you just love the product but you want to get it at a discount, your only investment is your $99, and that $99 gets you $125 worth of product. Plus, during the celebration period, which is August 3rd through September 30th, you will also get to pick out a bundle of your choice in the list in the celebration. So in the back of the celebration brochure, right back here, you'll have join on page 18, and on page 19 it says join now and choose any of the bundles listed below from July through December mini catalog. So these are the ones, and I think the most expensive one is like $60 or $66, something like that. So it's a great time to join, get a free bundle along with your $125. No shipping. Shipping is absolutely free, so all you pay is $99 plus your local sales tax, whatever that would be. Okay, enough of that. I am going to work once again. If you remember, I did that, I used the Peaceful Cabin and made that beautiful snow scene. I wanted to try this and see if I could do a summer scene out of it. So I made a card, and I'll show you the one that I made, and I've already mailed it out, so I can only show you a picture from my phone. But let me pull that up real quick. Well, I thought, hang on one second. I know I've got another picture on here. I just need to go to my text messages because I think, yeah, there it is. And there is the picture right there of the card that I did. And we're going to do something similar to this, but I'm going to change it up a little bit and make those trees a little brighter. So instead of using the evening evergreen, I'm going to switch it to a granny apple green, and we're going to see how it turns out. It may be beautiful and it may not, but we're going to try it. So I've got my Peaceful Cabin stamp set, and I have my cabin dies. I'm also going to be using this Timber 3D embossing folder, and I've cut my pieces. Now for a reserve, I did cut 2 card bases. I have one that's in the Early Expresso, but I also have one in Balmy Blue. So I wanted to try it with the Balmy Blue and see how that turns out. If it doesn't pan out once I lay everything down on here, then I'll grab the Evening Evergreen, the Early Expresso, and we'll work with that one. But I got both of those over there, and I'm going to start with the card base, and we're going to work our way up. So I'm going to go ahead and score both of these, just in case, because I'm not real sure. These are 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score them at 4 1/4. So on my trimmer, I'm going to get my score blade and bring it up to right there, and we'll lock that arm down, and we are going to score that at 4 1/4. And then I like to bring this back over and put it against the lip and fold into my edge. And for whatever reason, this usually gets me a much better fold on my cards, and I usually do it on both sides just to make sure that my card lays down really well. I'm going to go ahead and do the Balmy Blue as well, because like I said, I'm not sure. I'm leaning toward this Balmy Blue, but it may not give me the effect that I want. So if it doesn't, we'll go with that Early Expresso. I love the coordination. One thing that you can never ever beat is the coordination of the Stampin' Up color. Their color combinations are always spot on, and everything will coordinate with other colors of our standard cardstock. All right, so we have our card bases done. The next piece that I prepared is our front mat, which this will either go on the blue or the Early Expresso, I'm not sure which, but this piece is 5 1/4 by 4. And then I have a piece of Designer Series paper, and I got this Designer Series paper from the Harvest Meadow, and that is this pack right here, and it is gorgeous. So many pretty colors in here. They are so fall and so pretty. This is a beautiful bundle, and you've seen me work with this. I made that really pretty card using this particular bundle, the stamp and the dies, and I love the way it turned out. And if you haven't seen that video, I will link it. I'll link it in this video, in the video description below, so you can go and take a look at that one as well. All right, and I cut that piece of Designer Series paper 2 by 4, so 2 inches by 4 inches, and that's going to mat right on here like that. And then I have another piece of the Granny Apple Green, and this is 4 3/8 by 3 1/2, so 4 3/8 by 3 1/2. And then I have a piece of our basic white at 4 1/4 by 3 3/8. And I'm sorry I'm using 8s, but if you notice, this is going to mat on here perfectly, just like that, giving us just that 1/16 of a border all the way around, which I love that look. And this piece is actually going to go on top of this, so we are actually going to be building everything from there. I have the inside mat. We're going to use this small piece, 4 1/4 by 3 1/2, and that's going on the inside. And these two pieces are going to be for our cabin and our trees. The piece for our trees are going to be 2 3/4 by 4 1/4, and the cabin is going to be, this is the Crumb Cake, and it is 4 1/4 by 2. So, and I also have a piece of the ribbon that goes with that, and I think the name of this ribbon, let me double check. It's so nice now that I can open the catalog and not have to hide everything from everybody. This is called the Diamond Weave Ribbon, and it's 3/8 of an inch, and it is gorgeous. And it came with that the Harvest Meadow collection. It is so pretty. It's almost like a crochet, but it's got that little diamond weave pattern in it. It is beautiful. Okay, so let's start out with getting our piece adhered on here. So I'm just gonna stick these over here so I'll have my measurements for later. I'm gonna use some Stampin' Seal for this because I'll probably use a variety of adhesives, but we're gonna start out with our Stampin' Seal Plus. It's absolutely my adhesive of choice. And I mean, I love my glue, don't get me wrong, but sometimes when you want to put something down and you really want it to go quickly, this is the way to go. And I am bringing out my silicone craft mat so that I don't get glue on my work surface. So making sure this is going in the right direction, I am going to glue this down to the left hand side of this Crumb Cake mat. So I'm going to bring that over nice and even and put it down and press it. Now we're going to lay that to the side because we're going to run that through that embossing folder in a few minutes to give us some extra texture on that. The next thing that I want to do is let's go ahead and stamp our trees, and then we can go ahead and get those cut out and our cabin. So bringing over my stamp set, I'm going to move that mat out of my way because we don't need that in our way right now. We're going to do the cabin first. And this is a small piece to do your cabin on, but it will work. So I'm going to bring it over almost to the edge, to the left side and down. And I'm going to show y'all how to make this look like a cabin rather than a snow-covered cabin. And that is what is so neat about the techniques that I'm going to show you today. So I'm going to pull out a stamp block that will accommodate my cabin. And that's going to be this one right here. And I am going to get my Early Expresso ink because I want this cabin to look like a log cabin. So I need it to be a dark brown. So our Early Expresso is that dark brown, and I think it's going to be beautiful. So now we're just going to turn this over and stamp it down right about there. I'm giving it some nice even pressure with the heel of my hand. And you know, you don't want to rush your stamping. Look how beautiful that is. And I'm going to show you, let me zoom y'all in just a little bit. I'm going to show you how to get rid of that snow-covered look on the roof of that cabin. So let me grab my chamois so I can clean my stamps as we go. I do want to close up this ink because I'm done with that color, at least for right now. Oh, come on. There we go. Make sure you close your inks up so we don't have our inks drying out. That's one reason why as soon as I use an ink pad I close it, is because I don't want to take a chance of my ink pads drying. Now we have refills so you can re-ink them, but you know, conserve that ink. Alright, we got that cleaned. So now I'm going to take that stamp and put it back in, and I'm going to grab the pine trees. These, if you stamp them on white paper, they're going to look like they're snow-covered trees. But if you stamp them on green with a green ink, let's see what's going to happen. I think they're going to be beautiful. And I might even grab another piece of green and stamp another couple trees, maybe. We'll see. I'm going to put another piece over there just in case. So I'm going to grab that Granny Apple Green. So we're going to do that green on green. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to ink this up really good. Now, I hadn't tried this with this color until just now. So I'm hoping it's going to turn out good, but we'll see. Again, nice even pressure. Let that ink transfer into that paper. Very nice. Nice and very subtle. And I think I'm going to do another one of those, maybe with just the two trees. And I'm going to stamp these right about here. Not sure that I like that as much, but you know what? We'll see what happens as it dries. So I'm going to pull these trees and the cabin, and I'm going to put this up here. And I'm going to bring my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine over. Let me zoom y'all back out. Right about there, and I think you can see this enough to get the gist. And I think we can probably get our trees and our cabin in one swipe. So let's go ahead and pull our dies. And if you watched me do this the other day, you know how simple it is to cut these pieces. And they usually cut very easily. Now I'll tell you what I do like to do. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but I like to use a Post-it note to actually put this down. But you know what? Before I do that, I want to do a little something extra to this. So let's hang on. I'm going to move this back over here. I'm going to grab my dark Crumb Cake, and I want to color in this roof. I meant to do that before I got started. So I'm using my Stampin' blends. You can use the Stampin' Right, whatever marker you have. But all I'm going to do is just come in with that darker Crumb Cake, and I am going to line the roof of that cabin just like that, so that we can just kind of get rid of what looks like snow. And I'm going to color in the entire roof, maybe even a little bit around that chimney. And remember, the Stampin' Right markers are going to lighten up once they dry. I mean, the Stampin' blends. They will definitely lighten up. And this is going to give you more of a look of a cabin rather than it being a snowy cabin. So that's all you need to do to that to give it that look. And one other thing that I want to do is I'm going to grab my blending brush. I am going to grab a green one and a blue one because I need both colors. So green and blue. And I have one of these blending brushes dedicated to each color. So, and I marked them, actually labeled them green and blue. So no matter what color green I use this one. And some people say to take these to the sink and wash them. I don't, because what happens when my experience with washing these type of brushes are the bristles will get separated and they look kind of funky, and they don't have that smooth texture. So I find that it's better just to take a piece of grid paper, and when you're done, rub as much of the color off as you can, and then your brush is ready for the next time you use it, and it stays nice and soft that way. So I'm going to get a little piece of grid paper, and this grid paper is the one that goes in the Stamparatus, but we're not using the Stamparatus today. But it does give me a little protection on my work surface. So I'm going to take the Garden Green, because that's going to give me a little more depth of color. And I want to go right here where this looks like snow. I want to make that look like grass. So just by using my blending brushes, I'm hoping that I can change that and make it look more like a green grass. So I'm going to tap off over here, and then I'm just going to start smudging the ink across here, and I'm just doing it around the bottom. And you'll have to do this, several times to get that green to really show up good on that crumb cake. But it will look green, especially when we put it down onto our white cardstock. So let's just, although we're going to have that looking like a blue sky. So it was so much fun doing it with the snow and having the snow, the little snow flakes falling and the trees covered in snow. It looks so peaceful and so quiet. I always think of when it snows how beautifully quiet it gets outside. But we're just we want this to be summery. So that looks pretty good. All right, we're gonna lay that over there. And to clean my brush, I'm going to show you what I do. I just take my brush and I rub it in little circles, back and forth, up and down, just like that. Get as much of that ink off as you can, and then I put it away. And that's all I do. And they work perfectly every time. All right, so let's move that out of our way, and let's get our Stampin' Cut. I think before I bring it over, I'm going to go ahead and get these pieces lined up on here and it's easier to do it off of the machine than it is on it. So I'm going to bring these down, and a rule of thumb with your dies is to make sure you don't have any of that color showing outside. So I am going to use one of my little post-it flags to hold that down. I think we need 2 on there. So we'll put another one right here. And I'm going to pull this down to this side, and then we're going to take our cabin, or how about we'll put that up and we'll put the cabin here. And now I'm going to line this up. And what you want to do, and I got a little piece stuck in here, so let me poke that out. That was from the last time I used it. Well, that little piece doesn't want to come out. Let's see if I can get something smaller that will poke it out. There it went. It was definitely in there tight. It was just a little piece of cardstock or something right there. So I am going to line this up, line it up, make sure that our chimney is completely engulfed, and make sure that this little piece is cutting out that little opening right there. So once you get that in place like you want it, just like that, and we're going to use a couple more of these little tags, and I'm going to put those down on each side, and now we're ready to run this through. So I'm going to put my other number 3 plate over top. And now let's bring this back over, and we're going to crank it through. This particular Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine is so great. It has almost like automatic feed. It's so easy to use, and I love it. So if you're in the market for a really good die cut machine, I would highly recommend this one. And not because I sell them. Even if I didn't sell this machine, I would use it. That is how good it is. So there is our cabin. Isn't that pretty? And you can see how that does look like a nice green grass. Once you cut this away from it, it looks very, very pretty. And we've got all of those pieces out of there. And now we're going to get our trees. Do the same thing here. We're just going to peel off our flags. I love those little post-it flags. They work so great. And there is our trees. Aren't they pretty? And see, let's see how they're going to look nestled behind. And this is going to go on dimensionals. Oh, that's pretty. Very, very pretty. You know, I don't know that I'm going to need another tree, but I might go ahead and cut these while I'm cutting. So just in case, we can always use them for something else if we don't use them here. So since I've already stamped them, I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down just like that, and then we'll run that through. And I'm not going to bring it back over. I'm just going to do it over here on the side. Die cutting. I don't have to get up and go across the room to die cut. I think that would drive me insane. So I love having it close by like this. Now if you notice that these trees didn't cut all the way through because I didn't bring that piece over all the way, all you have to do is grab your paper snips and just snip up like that, and your trees fall right out. Alright, so we have those done. I'm going to throw those scraps over there because who knows, we might need those again. I'm going to lay my dies back over here. I like to make sure I put my dies back onto the card where they came off, because we all know how easy it is to lose a die. These are large dies, but I have definitely lost little dies and small stamps, so it can be very. And if you notice, I've got a little spring in my cut plate right there, so I'm going to flip that one over. And I'm still trying to get this one. It's got a little bit of bow in it, so I've been using it with that bow side up for the last few times that I've used it. So I'm going to continue to do that until it gets flat again. And I got ink on my hands, so I am going to take that same alcohol wipe and clean my hand off. best thing in the world is alcohol to get that ink off of your skin, off of your work surface, your tools, or whatever. So that works really great. So I keep that close by when I'm crafting. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and run this through that embossing folder. And this embossing folder is so pretty. And I want these wood grains to go in this direction. So I'm going to make sure that I put this in. I'm going to open it up all the way. And we have a line right here on the Stampin' Up side where the logo's at. There's a line. And that line will help you. And I'm noticing that I got a little bit of a hangover right there. So I'm going to trim that before I put it in there. It's just a tiny little bit of that designer series paper. But it had adhesive on it, and I didn't want that getting stuck inside my folder. So anyway, you have this line right here. So I'm going to lay this in and line it up right on that line. And I'm going to close it down. And now I want to run this through with this side, the closed side going in first. You can't always do that, but anytime that you can, you want to do that. So I'm taking all my plates off, my number 2 plate and both of my 3s, and I'm going to lay this right on my number 1 plate. And then we have the specialty plate, which is a number 4 plate. This does come with your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine when you purchase it. So I'm going to lay it on top, and this is the sandwich you use anytime you're using a 3D folder. And I'm going to crank that through. This is going to give us a little texture on our piece, and the texture is always good on your card. So there we go. And let's open this up. And look how beautiful that turned out. And I don't know if the light is catching that, but it is absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to lay that over there and put my machine back together. So now we're ready to decide how we're going to put this card together. Now the first thing I need to decide is if I want any more trees on here. And I'm thinking I want maybe there. Yeah, I think I like the extra trees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some Stampin' Dimensionals right here. And I'm going to put those down because I want some dimension between this. So I'm going to put my dimensionals on this side. And I'm going to grab my regular dimensionals and I'm going to put one right here. And one here. And I'm going to run these others, even though I may not use them, I'm going to run them all the way over. And I'm going to take off the 2 on this side. And let's see. What I want to do is I want to put this right about there, nice and even. Just like that. Now we can always snip this off, so don't worry about that. Now this other piece is going to go on dimensionals, but they're going to need to go. So right here, I'm going to take these off. Just like that. And I'm going to put a couple of more here, so this will sit up a little bit higher. So I'm going to come here and put one. And another one right here. If you're hearing a beep beep every so often, I think my husband is doing something with the TV, so ignore the beep in the background. So anyway, we're going to put another one right here, and I'm going to peel these off. And this is going to, building it up like this and using double dimensions is going to help give that depth that we want. Make sure I got them off of all of those. Now I'm ready to go ahead and put this together just like this. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it down because I want this to hit right on the bottom. Just like that. Oh yeah, look at that dimension. Love it, love it, love it. And you can see you have like the little tree back there, but everything is kind of dimensional. I love that. And I do have that little overhang right there, so I'm just going to take my snips and snip that off, just like so. Let's go ahead and get the bit of garbage up off of the work surface and put that in the trash. Now we have this little piece that is going to go on our green piece. So we need to work on this piece, and this is a piece that we're going to do some more blending. And what I want to do with this is we're going to bring in the Balmy Blue, and we are going to make some clouds. Now I learned this trick from another YouTuber, and this is nothing but some circles, and I used either dies or punches, and I did like 1, 2, 3, 4 different sizes of circles, and all I've done was glued them together. And these make beautiful images for clouds. So I'm going to hold, and I made these out of the thick cardstock, so it makes it really nice to hold it in place and do your clouds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come across here first with just some blue ink. Just get that top inked up. A little bit of dimension. And then we're going to put this up here, and we're going to ink heavy. Now remember to always stamp off. And I'm going to load it up so I get a good amount of ink, and I'm going to stamp off here and then come in just like that. And then we're going to move that down, move it over. You can also turn it. It's always good to turn it to get a little extra dimension. Load it up again and come in. Just like that. And then bring it down. And this just builds a nice pretty base of clouds, and I love that look. I think it's soft, it's really, really pretty. And I'm going to turn it back around this way, and I'll bring it over just a little bit. And if you don't feel like it's quite dark enough, just go in and grab some more ink and come back in and just use a nice, flowing motion. Nice circles. Just like that. And we're going to come down one more time. Just like that. And then we're going to circle, circle, circle. Circle, circle, circle. Now that looks really pretty. So what I want to do now is maybe one more cloud, maybe right about like that, and then we're going to do just plain blue the rest of the way down. And that will ensure us to have a nice base color all the way down. Isn't that pretty? So now I'm just going to move that out of the way, and I'm going to come in with just some of the regular blue ink, and we're going to blend that out. And you can bring it down to the bottom. It doesn't matter because this is going to be covered up with your trees and your cabin. So just like that, get that all swirled in there beautifully. Isn't that gorgeous? So you will see when we lay this on here how that just looks like a beautiful blue sky in the background. Isn't that pretty? So pretty. Okay, so now that we got that done, we are ready to adhere that to this piece. So again, I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to bring over my silicone craft sheet, and I am going to make sure I got it started, and I'm going to put just some little pieces. You don't need a whole lot of this adhesive because it is so strong. Just like that, all the way around. And now that we got that, you want to make sure that that darker area is up to the top. And we're going to take that little piece of green, and you know that it's only like that 1/16 of an inch all the way around, so be mindful of your borders. And then just stick that down, just like that. And then once you get it down, then you're just going to press it. And then this is ready to go on here, and you want to bring it all the way to the bottom, just like that. And we have room up here if you wanted to put a sentiment right there, and that's what I did on the other one because I made this a birthday card for my son. The only difference was I used the evening evergreen for my trees and for my border, and I used a different pattern paper, and I didn't do it on the blue card base. But before we go any further, we're going to take this piece of diamond open weave ribbon, and I thought it would be pretty to play up right here on this part of our card. Let's go ahead and close up our ink. And I do need to clean off my brush, so I'm gonna, again, I'm just going in nice circles, making sure that all of the surface hits the, I'm gonna go back and forth and up and down and around and around. And now my brush is ready to be put up and ready for the next go round. So I'm gonna lay my brushes over here, and our little piece of paper there. Bring that silicone craft sheet back in, and I'm trying to figure out where I want this, and I think I want it to go right over that seam. So let's turn this over like so, and I'm going to use Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to put a piece right there and right here. Now I can turn this back over now that I've got my seal down, and I can decide exactly where I want this. So I'm going to lay that right there, and I'm going to push it around the back and press it into that seal, and then I'm bringing it down this way and bring it up into that seal. Now I made my piece a little bit longer than I needed it, so I'm just going to cut that off. And look how pretty that is. It just adds a little something extra right there. I love that. So let's go ahead now and put some dimensionals on the back of this, because I do want the whole thing to set up away from the sky. I'm trying to decide if I want to put, and I believe I do, I want to put a sentiment on the front. And oh, this would be pretty. Reflected in nature. This is another log cabin that is gorgeous. And I think I'm going to take one of these sentiments. Breathe deep. I love that. And then we can use that for the inside. Each day is an adventure. That would be really pretty. So I think I'm going to use those. So we are going to put breathe deep right about there. So let's see how that's going to work out with our trees. I think that's going to work perfect. So I'm going to go ahead, and I think I'm going to stamp first. I know that's being a little brave, isn't it? But I think we can do this. So I'm going to grab another stamp block and pick this up. And I need to decide what color ink I want to use on this. And I think I want to do, I think I'm going to do my black. I think I'm going to go with the Momento Tuxedo Black. And we're going to ink that up really good. I'm going to bring this over because I like to stamp. Pretty good. So I'm going to ink that up again. And I'm going to bring this up to the top, right about there. Love that. So now I'm just going to put this in here. Clean that off just a tiny bit. I know it does have kind of a obnoxious sound when you're cleaning on the chamois, but it is such a neat way to clean your stamps off with just using water. So if you don't have a stamp, Simply chamois, you owe it to yourself to pick one up. Okay, so we have the Breathe Deep. So now I'm going to turn this back over and I'm going to grab my dimensionals. And I am going to put some more down here on the bottom. This is what makes this card, is the dimensionals that you put on it. It really does bring it to life, and it makes it so pretty. I'm not going to put any behind the trees up here. I'm going to put it on the card first and see if I need them. Let's go ahead and close up this ink pad, and let's grab these off. Just like so. And now we're ready to adhere this right onto the bottom of this. But what you want to do is make sure you're getting it flush to the bottom, just like that. So I held it up like that, and look at that, all that beautiful dimension that you got. Isn't that gorgeous? Now we're ready to put this, the entire thing, onto here. And look how pretty that's going to look. Love it, love it, love it. But we need to decide now if we want to put this on the Balmy Blue or the Early Expresso. So this is going to be the time that will tell the tale. You know, I like it on both, so I can't make up my mind. Oh my goodness. Okay, how do you make a decision like that? I am going to put a glue dot up underneath there just to hold that, because I feel like it needs something to adhere it. So I'm going to grab a glue dot and I'm going to tuck it right under here. Just like that. And press this down nice and even. And let's go ahead and put some Stampin' Seal on the back of this. And I'm going to put it over top of that ribbon especially. Yep, tore my cardstock. I hate it when it does that. This adhesive is so strong that it will literally tear your cardstock if you're not careful. So I'm going to lay this over into this to get a good, there we go. It's still wanting to tear it. I think it's because it's, you might have to go with glue, but I'm hoping I can get this to work, because this will definitely hold it down much better and more secure. So let's try that. I think I'm going to go with the blue. I like the brightness of the blue. So I'm going to bring this right here like so, and I'm pressing it as I go. So I want this to adhere nice and flat to this blue piece. I might have to put a glue dot up underneath the edge right there because it looks like it's wanting to lift right there where that ribbon is. Yeah, that works. Sometimes you have to, you know, work the toes on your peg leg and kind of, you know, make things work for you. Now, because of that ribbon, this is not going to sit straight. So you know how we're going to get around that? We're going to use some dimensionals on the back. So anytime you use ribbon and your piece looks like it's rocking, just turn it over and use some dimensionals. Do not put dimensionals where the ribbon's at. Put them on the corners, the sides, but not where that ribbon's at. That will help it to lay down nice and flat, just like you want it. And I think you'll be very pleased with it. So I'm going to put one here. And I think one right there, here and here, would be good. So I'm just going to pull these backers off using my Take Your Pick tool. Easiest way to get these off and kind of wrangle them all up so you don't have them everywhere. You can just take them off of that pick, put them right in your trash can, and not have them all over your floor, stuck on your feet, tracked all in the other part of the house. So there, now that looks so pretty. Isn't that gorgeous? I love the way that turned out. I love that dimension. And now we're going to open it up and we are going to put our white piece on the inside. And I'm trying to think, do I want to stamp anything over here in the corner? I know if I do the trees, they're going to look like they have snow on them. So I'm not going to do that. I do have a little piece of this, and we could cut a strip and put that on it. Let's do that. And I'm just going to do like a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to take about a 1/2 inch off of this one side, just like that. And we're going to cut that down to 3.5. I did slide it over just a little bit because if it's a little bit long, I can always trim it. Yeah, I'd rather trim it and have it too long than to have it too short. So I didn't have a problem with it being a tiny bit longer than what I needed it. So again, I'm going to use Stampin' Seal, and I'm just going to run one line down that and turn it around so I can get my little cattails going in the right direction. And I'm going to pull that all the way up to the top, just like that. Turn it over, use your paper snips, and just snip off any of that excess. And now we're going to stamp a little sentiment on the inside. And I think I said we're going to do each day is an adventure, or how about take time for you? Breathe deep and take time for you. I love that. Yeah, I think that is going to be the ticket. And you know what we might do? Bring it down just a little bit. And we can do this bird right here in the corner. Wouldn't that be cute? And it kind of ties in. Get that to sit still for me. There we go. Now I'm going to pick this up, Let's move our bird. I'm going to use the Tuxedo black again. I love my sentiments in black. I think they just, I mean, there's a time and a place for them to be in color, but I really like this. You see what happened? That's okay, we'll clean that up. I'm going to get another stamp block for my bird. And we're going to put him right about there. Isn't that pretty? And let's cover that ink back up. And I have a mono sand eraser. Anytime that you have a little boo-boo, you can pick these up at any craft store. You can probably even get them on Amazon. And they're just called a sand eraser mono. And they're put out by Tombow. So you could probably, like I said, probably get this at Amazon or one of your local craft stores. So I'm just going to rub this really good. And what this does, it actually sands the paper. So it will take that ink out. So once I get that done, then I'm just going to grab, this is another great thing for this little sweep. Sweep that off. And you can see it's still a little bit showing. So I'm going to go back. Just like that, and the magic, still a tiny bit, and you can just work this until you get it down to where there's no ink showing and you're pleased with it. And there you go. Beautiful. So now we can bring over our card and we can go ahead and glue this on the inside. And again, I am going to use my Stampin' Seal. And remember what I told you about your wrist action. Pull it up, pull it up, pull it up. And if you do that wrist action like that every time, you will not have any problems with this. And I think that was the learning curve behind the Stampin' Seal. So now we're ready to go ahead and adhere this in, just like this. And our card is done. I hope y'all enjoyed this as much as I did making it. I thought it turned out absolutely lovely. And we're going to zoom in a little bit so you can get a better view. What do y'all think of that? I love it. I think it's so pretty, so delicate, but yet it has just that wonderful cabin feel. You know, and if you wanted to go back and do a little bit more on your roof, you most certainly could. If you wanted to go up here on your chimney a little bit more, maybe a little bit more down the side after we cut it out. Just like that. The good thing about the alcohol markers, they don't streak, so no matter how you put your color on, it is going to dry. As that alcohol dissipates, you're going to get a beautiful even color. I love that. I think it turned out really, really pretty. I did this one in lighter colors than I did the one that I sent my son, but I like this one just as good as I did that one. You'll have to let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. Let me know if this is something that you think you would like to make. And if you want to pick up these, the stamp set or the dies, you can click on the link below where it says Shop With Me, and the link to my Stampin' Up website is right there. And you can pick up the stamp set, and if you bundle and get the dies as well, you can save 10%. Stampin' Up! Always offers a 10% discount whenever you bundle stamps and dies, or stamps and punches. Let me zoom y'all out a little bit so you can see the entire thing. And there we go. And then there is our card. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. Spending a little time with me, it always means so much. I hope you have a very blessed day. And as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is so worthy of our praise and our honor. And until we craft again, God bless.